Everybody loves a good anime time skip. Getting to see all your favorite characters older and wiser is always cool, especially when said characters look cooler as adults. However, it doesn't always work out this way, since there are also plenty of instances of an anime character looking much worse older than they did younger. Because of this, we decided to take a look at some anime characters who looked much cooler older and some who looked much worse. Let's start off with one of the most well-known examples of an anime glow-up, Goku. When we first saw Goku, he was this stubby little kid with a simple blue outfit, a tail, and a wild mess of hair. This look worked well enough for most of Dragon Ball, and Goku being a kid helped keep things fun and comedic at times. But as the series began to focus more on martial arts, Akira Toriyama decided that a little kid fighting didn't look great in movement. So he decided to age Goku up in the Piccolo Jr. saga, and there's no denying that the adult version of Goku looks better than his younger self. Goku's increased height makes him look like a fully realized warrior, and since he grew out of his round face, he now looks like a badass protagonist. Kid Goku is fun, sure, but adult Goku is how most fans know the character. If we had to decide which design was better between Sailor Moon and Neo Queen Serenity, we'd have to go with the former. Sure, Queen Serenity is Usagi's fully realized form, but her younger teenage self and her Sailor Scout design is much more fun and iconic. This isn't to say that Usagi's queen outfit isn't as iconic or powerful, it has its own place in fans' hearts. But the superheroic aspects and colorful design of Sailor Moon is far more appealing. When Usagi is younger, her design looks better, as opposed to her older self, whose silver hair and somewhat plain dress makes for a less vibrant and pleasing design. We might be making some bold claims with this entry, but in our opinion, Sailor Moon looks cooler as, well, Sailor Moon, rather than Neo Queen Serenity in terms of design. Yeah boy, we're gonna incite the wrath of some angry comments, aren't we? Gurren Lagann tells the tale of Kamina and Simone as they liberate humanity from the Spiral King. At least that's what the first half is about. After humanity is free to live on the surface, the series skips forward to when Simone is an adult and humanity is thriving. Simone looked much different after the time skip, and we'd argue that he looks better, especially once he and the rest of Team Daigoren took off for space, since he was wearing an outfit similar to Kamina's when he led the team. In fact, as the second half of the series progressed, Simone looks more and more like Kamina, making for a badass transformation from scared little kid to noble leader fighting for humanity. If it wasn't clear enough, we definitely think Simone looks better as an adult, both because he became more confident in himself and because he really knew how to dress when he went to space. In the first season of Digimon Adventures, Tai, Matt, and the rest of the Digi Destined were around middle school age as they made their way through the digital world. In the second season, the original Digi Destined were a bit older, with new designs that were pretty good. However, when the new series of films continuing the adventure, Digimon Adventure Tri, came out, their character designs were changed drastically. This time skip making the characters look much worse. Sure, the art is good and the designs are clean, but they don't really have any personality since they lack color, eccentric elements, or anything else to help differentiate them from other high school student anime characters. The Digimon Adventure Tri versions of the original Digi Destined ended up looking worse than their younger selves. Additionally, the epilogue of Digimon Adventure showed the Digi Destined older, and we're also not a fan of those adult designs. In the Android saga of Dragon Ball Z, Vegeta stated that full-blooded Saiyans keep the hairstyle they're born with. It never needs to be cut and will remain the same their whole lives. We can see examples of this all throughout Dragon Ball Super Broly, including the titular antagonist himself. And speaking of Broly as a kid, while his design is good and the film's animation makes it look spectacular, there's no denying that adult Broly has a much more appealing design. Specifically, Broly's massive frame, wild hair, scars, and fur he wears around his waist make for some awesome design elements. Seriously, a good character design tells a bit of the character's story, and Ba's ear and the scars, as well as his dislike of wearing shirts, does exactly that. Broly looks much better as an adult than as a kid. He even makes that Saiyan mullet look good. Naruto Uzumaki went through two major design changes in the anime franchise. The first was in the first episode of Shippuden, which showed that he had grown quite a bit from the original anime series. And the second came during the epilogue of Shippuden, as well as the Boruto movie and series. We'll get to his first growth spurt later, but first, let's look at the time skip that resulted in Naruto looking worse. At the end of Shippuden and in Boruto, we saw that Naruto was now an adult and the current Hokage. While it's great that Naruto finally achieved his dreams, his design as an adult is lacking. From the shorter hair to the plain clothes and everything in between, Naruto's adult look is far less iconic than his younger self. But of course, that's just our opinion. We can't deny that Naruto looks badass while wearing that Hokage hat. In the second episode of Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, we see a flashback of how Ed lost his arm and leg, and how Alphonse lost his whole body. It was a brutal scene, especially when Ed was left a bleeding mess, which isn't a good look for anybody. In present day, however, Ed, now fully equipped with an automail arm and leg, looks much better than he did during his and Al's darkest moment. Additionally, Ed's adult design is just plain awesome with its red coat, braided ponytail, black pants and boots, and his automail limbs. Ed looks better as a teen than as a kid, both because he now had replacement limbs and because he looks much cooler. Additionally, when Ed and Al were shown as adults in the epilogue of Fullmetal Alchemist, Ed still looked pretty dang good, even if he lost his love of wearing leather and big coats. While we're on the topic of Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, let's talk about a character who ended up looking worse as an adult, Alphonse Elric. Now, don't get us wrong, the design of Al's armor is pretty freaking awesome and badass, but in the context of the show, Al turning from a young boy into an empty, massive suit of armor housing his soul is definitely a bad thing. Because of the situation that Al's armor body represents, his older self is the worst version, since he'd definitely rather be in his original body. Additionally, when Alphonse sees his original body at the Gate of Truth, it's not exactly in the best state. Since his muscles were atrophied, he was starved, and his hair and nails were quite a bit overgrown. In fact, Al's body looked so bad growing up that he was horrified when he saw it after so many years. We already covered the older version of Naruto that ended up looking worse. Now let's take a look at the one that ended up looking way better. Of course, we're referring to Naruto after the first time skip of the series. When Naruto first returned to the Hidden Leaf Village, he was a bit taller, a bit slimmer in the face, had a new black headband, and had traded in his old orange and blue jumpsuit for a much sleeker orange and black one. While these changes were subtle, they ended up making for a pretty great design, one that more or less remained unchanged for the rest of the series, which shows just how great it was. Another reason we thought this new look was so great was because of how much more streamlined it was. Naruto looks much less like a snotty kid and more like a ninja on his way to becoming a great warrior. Continuing the topic of Naruto, let's talk about Sasuke Uchiha, whose design remained pretty consistent throughout the series, with just a change of clothes being the only difference as time went on. However, in the Boruto era of the franchise, Sasuke decided to go full emo by letting his hair flop into his face and taking up a weird fashion sense. It's bad enough that Sasuke just sort of casually leaves his family all the time, but his look as an adult is just plain awful. Look, maybe we're being a bit harsh, but come on! Look at how cool Sasuke looked as a teenager. He was literally the most popular boy in his ninja school. Now look at Boruto-era Sasuke. Yeah, it's definitely not an improvement. Sasuke had the opposite of a glow-up as an adult, looking far worse older than he did as a kid. Think back to the second saga of the original Dragon Ball series. Goku wanted to train under Master Roshi and was eventually joined in that desire by Krillin. When Krillin first appeared, he was this weird little bald monk with no nose and a less than fashionable martial arts uniform. Krillin's design as a kid was meant to add to the comedy of Dragon Ball, so it makes sense that it wasn't all that cool looking. However, after the time skip and well into Dragon Ball Z, Krillin's design was adjusted for the martial arts focus of the series, and it ended up working really well. Sure, Krillin might not be everyone's favorite character design, but as an adult, when he's drawn the right way and not depicted to be way shorter than he actually is, Krillin looks pretty dang cool. Be it with or without hair, or in or out of his gi, Krillin definitely looks better as an adult. Gohan has gone through quite a few changes throughout Dragon Ball. When he was first introduced, he was just some scared little baby in a cute little outfit. But as the series went on, he had quite a few different looks. Each of these different looks was pretty great, and it could be said that Gohan looked better and better as time went on. His looks in the Saiyan saga when he sported Saiyan armor on Namek and when he wore clothes similar to Piccolo's during the Cell saga were great. Heck, even his high school look wasn't too shabby, especially his blue training outfit. However, Gohan ended up looking worse by the time of Dragon Ball Super. Specifically, when Gohan is seen wearing nerdy glasses and a dorky sweater, there's no denying that his appearance is far less appealing than it was when he was younger. Seriously, does he even need those glasses? In the first episode of One Piece, Luffy met and befriended a scared kid named Kobe. Kobe was something of a nerdy weakling with a dorky haircut and giant Coke bottle glasses. He definitely wasn't the coolest looking character. In fact, he was pretty much written off as a one-off side character used to introduce Luffy in the first episode of the series. However, fast forward a bit and Kobe had one of the most impressive glow-ups in anime. Seriously, when we saw Kobe again, that nerdy little kid with the dumb haircut was gone and had been replaced by a Marine-trained badass with a cool haircut and a much cooler-looking face and outfit. Sure, he still had his giant glasses, but he learned to keep them on his forehead until he needed them like a true cool anime character. Anyway, you look at it, Kobe looks a lot better older than he did as a kid. In the second season of My Hero Academia, the students of UA High School set out on their hero internship programs. And while other students got paired with some badass heroes, Deku was set to work under Gran Torino. While Gran Torino was a great hero, when Deku first met him, he looked like some tiny kooky old man with very little sense of his surroundings. Although Gran Torino eventually proved he still had it, his appearance was less than appealing, especially in comparison to his younger self. We've seen glimpses of Gran Torino as a younger hero on a few different occasions, and in these scenes, there's no denying that he looked much better younger. The main reason we say this is, well, because he looks like a regularly proportioned person instead of a weird old gremlin dwarf man thing. Okay, maybe that's a little mean, but still, Gran Torino looked way better when he was younger. It almost goes without saying that Future Trunks is one of the most popular characters in Dragon Ball. Heck, even Vegeta's English dub voice actor says he's his favorite character. Part of the reason that fans love Trunks is because he's just so gosh darn cool. Seriously, think back to the first time you saw the Half Saiyan from the future show up on screen. His cool outfit, his badass sword, and awesome Super Saiyan hairstyle definitely had you interested in the character. Future Trunks is a badass, both in his original outfit and in his Dragon Ball Super outfits. However, Kid Trunks doesn't quite measure up to his older self. Seriously, it's just no contest. Future Trunks has a badass jacket and a frickin' sword, while Kid Trunks wears a dumb little yellow hoodie and cuffed jeans. If you ask anyone, Future Trunks looks way cooler and way more badass than his dorky younger self. But I guess that goes the same for all of us. Okay, so we know we just pointed out an example of a badass future warrior looking better than his younger self, but we're about to go against that notion with our next entry, Branton and Eureka of Eureka 7. Both characters have really good designs as teenagers. The colors, outfits, and hairstyle all worked really well together. In fact, both designs complemented each other, which worked great for the series since they serve as the focus of it. However, fast forward to the sequel series, Eureka 7 Astral Ocean, and both of these designs were tossed right out the window for less streamlined, less crisp ones. Eureka's isn't too bad, just an older looking version of her first design, but Renton, boy. Renton's older design looks like someone threw grizzled future version of a character tropes into a blender, then poured it all over the character's original design. Seriously, what's with the white hair and black clothing? Ugh. Before we get a whole bunch of angry comments thrown at us, yes, Deku from My Hero Academia as a kid is freaking adorable. There's no denying that. And when he wears the tiny All Might costume that fans lovingly refer to as Small Might, even cuter. All that said, we can all agree that Deku looks better as a teenager than he does as a kid. It's not really an insult towards his younger self or the design or anything, it's just that the character was designed to be a teenager, so it's the most fitting look for him. Additionally, seeing Deku as a teen wearing his UA high school uniform, his gym clothes, and his hero outfit serve to symbolically represent that his dream of being a hero is coming true. Because of this, we think it's fair to say that teen Deku looks way better than young Deku, but Small Might Deku is definitely cuter. Gon Freecss from Hunter x Hunter is, more or less, your typical shonen protagonist. He's a little kid with spiky hair, a signature bright-colored outfit, and an iconic face. While Gon's design is simple, that's what makes it work so well, and also why we're glad he didn't go through a growth spurt in the series or didn't change drastically after a time skip. He did, however, grow into an adult after awakening his power, resulting in one of the absolute worst grown-up versions of a character in all of anime. Seriously, just look at the guy. What was once a cute, tall-haired kid had become a dude who looks like a buff version of that old Slim Jim mascot. And don't even get us started on his ripped clothes and weird, overly shadowed adult face. Maybe you might disagree, but we'd have to say that Gon looks much better as a kid than as an adult. Seriously, what's up with that hair? Natsu Dragneel, a fairy tale, is one of the few mages in the world who uses Dragon Slayer magic. The Dragon Slayers of Fairy Tail gained these powers while being raised by dragons, and Natsu is no different. In fact, we get to see some flashbacks of Natsu's life while he was being raised by his adoptive dragon father, Igneel, showing us how the character looked as a kid. So, how does young Natsu compare to his many looks in the present day of Fairy Tail? It should come as no surprise that we think adult Natsu looks far better than his younger self. Like with our Deku entry, it's not really about Natsu's younger self looking bad, it's more so that his adult design is what he was meant to look like. Additionally, Natsu rocks some rad outfits throughout Fairy Tail, from his original look to his one-sleeved outfit featured in the final season of the series. Even if you're not a fan of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, you can't deny that the show is stylish as heck. Seriously, just look at any character design in the series and you'll find something you like. Speaking of great character designs, the second JoJo, Joseph Joestar, has a great look all throughout the second part of the series, Battle Tendency. In this part of the series, Joseph looks like a badass street brawler ready to rumble with anybody who messed with him, and his outfits only get cooler as time goes on. However, in the next part of the series, Stardust Crusaders, Joseph is much older, resulting in a design that's far less appealing. Gone is the awesome fighter look, only to be replaced by a weird explorer safari outfit, which, combined with Joseph's now gray hair, boring hat, and beard, makes for a design that's far less cool than his younger look. Well, there you have it. Some anime characters who aged wonderfully and others who have looked way worse older. Do you agree with our judgment? Which character did you think aged the best of them all? What about the worst? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to CBR for more anime videos. Hey, thanks for watching.